अब कहाँ बच के जाएगा तू इंसानी बच्चा?
नहीं नहीं, मुझे छोड़ दो, मुझे मत खाओ।
नहीं खाता तुझे। अगर तू मुझे उस बकरी के बच्चे को खाने देता।
मुझे माफ कर दो भेड़िया भाई।
माफ? अब तुझे साफ करूंगा।
ये है भेड़िया।
अरे फिर से कौन मारा बे मुझे? अच्छा, तो तू मुझे इंसानी बच्चे को बचाने के लिए मारी।
तू मेरे बच्चे को मार दिया, अब मैं तुझे छोड़ूंगी नहीं। अरे बकरी, तुम्हारा बच्चा बच गया है। चिंकी उसे बचाकर घर लेकर गई है। क्या मेरे बाबू को इस भेड़िए ने नहीं खाया? वो जिंदा है।
लेकिन अब तुम दोनों मेरा खाना बनोगे।
भाग बकरी।
खाने के लिए कितना मेहनत करना पड़ रहा है, बाप रे।
अरे बकरी, मैं तुमसे तेज नहीं दौड़ पा रहा हूँ। भेड़िया बहुत नजदीक आ गया है। मेरे पीठ पर चढ़ जा। ठीक है, आता हूँ। अरे लड़की, तुम मुझे कहाँ लेकर आई हो? मेरे मम्मी के पास ले चलो मुझे, मम्मी मुझे ढूंढ रही होगी। ये हमारा घर है और अब से तुम यहीं रहने वाली हो। अगर तुम घर से बाहर गई तो भेड़िया तुम्हें खा जाएगा। नहीं, मैं तुम्हारे घर में नहीं रहूंगा। मैं अपने मम्मी के पास जा रहा हूँ। अरे रुक जा बकरी का बच्चा, उधर मत जा। उधर ही भेड़िया है, वो तुम्हें खा जाएगा। नहीं, मुझे मेरे मम्मी के पास जाना है, मैं नहीं रुकूंगा। अरे तू कितना भारी है बे, मैं ठीक से दौड़ भी नहीं पा रही हूँ। दौड़ती रहो, हमारा घर आने ही वाला है।
रुक जा बे कमीनी बकरी, तू बच नहीं पाएगी मुझसे।
वो रही मेरी मम्मी। मम्मी मम्मी, मैं यहाँ हूँ। बाबू बाबू, तू ठीक तो है? हाँ, मैं ठीक हूँ मम्मी। अरे वो बकरी का बच्चा, इधर मत आ। भेड़िया हमारे पीछे ही है। बाबू इधर मत आ, जाके कहीं छिप जा। वापस आ जा बकरी का बच्चा। क्या करूं? भेड़िया मेरी मम्मी को दौड़ा रहा है खाने के लिए। भाग बाबू, घर में चलो सब जल्दी। बकरी, तुम भी हमारे घर में चलो, अब वही हम बच पाएंगे इस भेड़िए से। ठीक है, चलती हूँ। जल्दी जल्दी घर में आ जाओ मम्मी, भेड़िया तुम्हारे बहुत नजदीक आ गया है। और दम लगा के दौड़ो बकरी।
बाप रे, कितना दौड़ना पड़ा, फिर भी खाना नहीं मिला। लेकिन मैं उस बकरी के बच्चे को बिना खाए यहाँ से जाऊंगा नहीं।
मम्मी मम्मी, तुम ठीक तो हो? तुम्हें भेड़िया ने कुछ किया तो नहीं? बाल बाल बच गई मैं। वो भेड़िया बहुत ही खतरनाक है।
निकलो बाहर कमीनों, तुम सब दरवाजा बंद करके घर में छिप नहीं सकते। मैं तुम सबको खा जाऊंगा।
अरे वो भेड़िया तो बाहर चिल्ला रहा है। चलो खिड़की से देखते हैं। हाँ चलो। देखो वो भेड़िया घर के बाहर ही खड़ा है, मुझे और मेरी मम्मी और तुम दोनों को खाने के लिए।
Oh, no!
बाप रे, कितनी गर्मी पड़ रही है। जल्दी से घर चलकर सो जाती हूँ। अरे चिंटू, वो देखो मम्मी घर की ओर आ रही है। जल्दी मम्मी को रोको, नहीं तो भेड़िया हमला कर देगा। मम्मी मम्मी, इधर मत आओ, इधर एक खतरनाक भेड़िया खड़ा है। अरे वो चिंटू और चिंकी इतना चिल्ला क्यों रहे हैं? अरे मम्मी तो रुक ही नहीं रही है, वो घर की ओर चलती ही आ रही है। अरे वो कुत्ता हमारे घर के दरवाजे पर क्यों खड़ा है? लगता है वो कुत्ता भूखा होगा इसीलिए खड़ा है। अरे मम्मी, यहाँ मत आओ, भाग जाओ जल्दी। लगता है अब तुम्हारी मम्मी बचने वाली नहीं है। अब क्या करें, मम्मी तो हमें सुन ही नहीं पा रही है। ओहो, कितना प्यारा कुत्ता है, मैं उसे ढेर सारा खाना खिलाऊंगी। अरे ओ मम्मी, यहाँ मत भेड़िया बैठा है। नहीं नहीं, वो एक कुत्ता है।
But inside it carried fragments of her story, notes in her mother's handwriting, worn notebooks filled with numbers and deaths, photographs of moments that were never meant to be remembered. Every item whispered why she had to keep moving, why she had to keep fighting, even if the fight was invisible to the rest of the world. Her thoughts strayed again to the last time she had felt safe. A summer afternoon, sunlight streaming through lace curtains, the laughter of a friend she hadn't seen in years. She had clutched that scarf too, tying it around her wrist as if it could hold the day in place. She had believed it would, and yet here she was, alone on a platform where everything familiar had dissolved into strangers and noise. A sudden breeze tousled her hair, and she brushed it away, glancing briefly at the stranger. He shifted slightly, not enough to draw attention, but enough for her to feel it. There was a deliberate patience in him, a quiet insistence that unsettled her. She wanted to step closer, to ask something, anything, but the words lodged in her throat, heavy and sharp. The train doors closed behind a group of passengers rushing in, and for a moment, the platform felt impossibly wide. She lifted the suitcase, shoulders tensing, and started forward, then stopped. A voice somewhere behind her called a name she didn't recognize. A laugh mingled with goodbye. She hesitated, gripping the scarf, heart fluttering. The stranger's eyes met hers, brief but piercing, and for a moment, she considered stepping back, turning away from whatever this encounter promised. Then the wind tugged at her scarf again, sharp, insistent, and she took a careful step toward the train, not knowing if she was moving closer to safety or to the reckoning that had waited for her all along. The sky shifted suddenly, dark clouds swallowing the late afternoon sun. A soft drizzle began, cold and sharp against her cheeks, turning the platform slick and reflective. She pulled the red scarf tighter around her neck, the damp seeping into the frayed threads, pressing memories and warnings alike against her skin. The stranger moved a fraction closer, and she noticed small details she hadn't before. His shoes, scuffed and worn at the heels, like they'd carried him through years of hard streets and harder choices. A wallet peeked from his coat pocket, edge frayed, a folded photograph barely visible inside. She caught a glimpse, a boy's face, smiling, innocent, unprotected. A pang twisted in her chest. He carried loss like she did, hidden beneath a quiet exterior, and for a moment she felt an uncanny reflection of herself staring back. Her heartbeat quickened, a mixture of fear and recognition. How much of him was his own, and how much was waiting to entangle with hers? She imagined the suitcase she clutched in her hand, the notes and memories pressing against the thin fabric, heavy with secrets and debts. Did he carry similar burdens? Was he a warning or a mirror? The rain thickened, splattering on the ground, tapping out a staccato rhythm that matched the rapid pulse in her ears. She glanced at the train, imagining escape, freedom, the simplicity of vanishing into anonymity. And yet, her feet didn't move forward. Something in his stillness, in the deliberate way he watched without speaking, pulled her back. "You're waiting for something," she said softly, almost to herself. The words floated between them, a fragile bridge. He didn't answer. Instead, he adjusted the strap of his coat, revealing a glimpse of worn hands, knuckles scarred, trembling ever so slightly. There was intention in his silence, but she couldn't tell if it was protective or predatory. Thunder rolled overhead, distant but ominous, and she shivered, not from the cold but from the surge of emotion threatening to undo her. She wanted to leave. She wanted to run. And yet, every instinct she had, caution, fear, self-preservation, was tangled with an inexplicable curiosity, a need to understand what fate or design had drawn him into her orbit. The platform lights flickered as the rain thickened, a blur of yellow against the gray. She tightened her grip on the suitcase and glanced at him again. The photo, the shoes, the silence. They told stories she could almost read, stories that echoed her own struggle. And yet, she couldn't trust it, couldn't decide if this connection was salvation or manipulation. The train horn blared somewhere in the distance, cutting through the rain. Her eyes met his, and in that moment, the world seemed suspended, neither moving forward nor backward. She lifted a hand to adjust the scarf, hesitated, and the pause stretched, heavy with questions. And then the train doors slid open, waiting for her, but she remained rooted to the spot, caught between leaving and staying, between what was certain and what was unknown. Rain-slicked streets reflected neon lights, puddles catching fragments of hurried faces. She stepped away from the train, suitcase scraping against wet concrete, throat tight. Every instinct screamed to leave, vanish, disappear into the anonymity she had always sought. Yet she stopped. One last look. Across the platform, he held the red scarf, her scarf, in his hands, turning it slowly between fingers that had seen too much. The threads were damp, pressed with weight she couldn't name. Her heart lurched. Some people carry more than just bags. They carry silence, she whispered to herself, voice trembling, almost lost in the hiss of rain. The words belonged to no one, yet felt necessary, tethered to this instant. Background passengers glanced, some frowning at the girl standing alone, some murmuring to companions. Their eyes, heavy with quiet judgment, pressed against her like invisible weights. She imagined them thinking she didn't belong, that she was out of place, fragile and foolish. The stranger's gaze met hers again,